This is my water crisis project, and we're going to begin with the properties of water. The first property we're going to discuss is that water is a polar molecule. This is because water is made of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen, and oxygen is more electronegative, which is why the bonds are unequal, which makes it polar. Water is a universal solvent. This is because water is known to dissolve many substances. 2 important vocabulary terms are hydrophobic and hydrophilic. Hydrophobic means that items are repelled from water, and hydrophobic means molecules are attracted to water. Cohesion and adhesion are very important terms. Cohesion means water is attracted to water. Adhesion means water is attracted to a polar surface. This picture is a perfect representation of that. Surface tension. Water has a high surface tension. This is associated with cohesion because the water molecules are more attracted to each other than the outside surface. High heat capacity. Water has a high heat capacity. This just means that it takes a lot of energy or heat for water to raise in temperature. The pH of water. The pH scale is just how basic or acidic something is, and water is in the middle, which means that it is neutral. So I'm sure you're wondering, why is water so important? Well, all living things are 70 to 90% water, and Molly Sargent states that if a person lost 4% of their total body water, it would lead to dehydration, but if they lost 15%, this would be fatal. All cells depend on water, and all living things are made of cells. So every cell has the cell membrane, which is made of phospholipids, and without water, the cell wouldn't be able to control what went in and out of the cell. Proteins in the cells produce enzymes, which are important for any chemical reaction in your body. And this water acts as it drives the folding of the amino acid chains. Water also makes DNA its double helix shape, and the DNA tells your cells what they're going to be. It literally makes you. Water is needed in natural life. Plants need water for photosynthesis. And during this process, they produce sugars, which animals or humans will eat, and it provides energy. Animals also rely on it for their body functions. As discussed before, all living things are made of cells. So, humans also use it for drinking, sanitation, crops, livestock, and industry. So, in the United States, there's a scarcity of water. 1.12 million people do not have access to a secure source of water, and 47% of these people live in urban environments. In Jamaica, the water distribution is uneven, meaning some have water and some do not. There are severe water shortages in these dry areas, and drought is brought on by the irregular rainfall. And only 71% of the population has piped water. The improper sanitation in the United States. So the industry and agriculture cause petroleum and fertilizers to enter the water streams from runoff, or sometimes they are piped directly into the rivers. And this is concerning because it's toxic to humans and the animals who drink it. Human and animal waste is also found in water through the septic systems and sewage systems. And how we treat water has byproducts such as trihalomethanes, and these are not good for humans. In Jamaica, 30% of the poor households use untreated river water, and wastewater sectors are outdated, meaning they're not running efficiently. This causes pathogens and sediment to be in both water, untreated or treated. Disease from water in the United States. So the second most common disease is norovirus, which follows behind swimmer's ear. 1.3 million Americans suffer from norovirus a year. More commonly, it's known as the stomach bug or stomach flu. So you'll see vomiting and diarrhea with it, which can bring on dehydration. So if you get the stomach bug, make sure you stay hydrated. 900 people die from this a year, but it's important to note that most of them are 65 years or older. In Jamaica, leptospirosis is caused by the leptospira bacteria, and it's transmitted by the urine in animals. And these animals don't show any symptoms, so it's very hard to prevent it in that direction. It has a wide range of symptoms, so it's hard to catch because it has fever, headaches, vomiting, muscle aches, jaundice, red eyes, rash, abdominal pain. And if you don't treat it, you can get meningitis or kidney or liver failure, and it eventually will lead to death. The effects of dirty water in the United States in regards with health, fatality rates, and poverty. So if you drink or use unsafe water, you have a large chance that you are going to become ill. And over 7 million Americans, as it is, become ill from unsafe water a year. 6,630 of these people will die. The common waterborne illnesses that we see are norovirus, giardiasis, and cryptosporidiosis. And again, there are over 6,000 deaths. The poverty, unsafe water is directly related to poverty in America because in these lower income areas where we see larger amounts of immigrants, people of color, or just less money in general, these are the areas where we're seeing unsafe water. So a large amount of mobile homes. The effects of dirty water in Jamaica in regards with health, fatality rates, and poverty. With health, waterborne illness is carried by the water, and not having access to clean water affects disease prevention. This would be like washing your hands. We see an increase in leptospirosis, typhoid fever, and cholera. 1 per 140,000 people die each year from waterborne illnesses in Jamaica, or from unsafe water. With poverty, we see that these lower income areas are spending a larger percent of their income on water. This is concerning because it pushes the poor to become poorer, so they're just getting deeper and deeper into poverty. Methods to bring clean water to a community in the United States. Focusing on the Navajo community, 49% of tribal homes don't have access to safe water. In this specific one in New Mexico, they are experiencing low amount of rainfall and their wells have collapsed. They only have one working well left. So my proposal and many others' proposal would be to go to the neighboring town of Albuquerque and install a pipeline that would lead into this town so they could stop relying on these trucks. The main issue we see here is with funding, so we would need to get the legislation passed for this to be able to be implemented. In Jamaica, in the Kingston metropolitan area, the Blue and John Crow Mountains are home to the Hope and Yalos River watersheds, and they supply water to 40% of the area. Improper farming has caused erosion, and this means sediments are getting into the water. One way to fix this would be to educate the farmers on proper farming techniques to where we wouldn't be having as many trees cut down or plants destroyed, so more roots in the ground mean less sediment in the water. Water policies in the United States, present and future. In the United States, we have the National Primary Drinking Water Regulations. This just controls the treatment techniques of public water systems. We also have the Surface Water Treatment Rules. These are just rules about the maximum levels of contaminants allowed, how we treat our water for pathogens, and that our water systems, most of them, need to be disinfected. In Jamaica, there is the Water Resource Act of 1996. This controlled allocation, it was management protection, and it controlled how the water resources were being used in Jamaica. This was very important for lowering the fatality rate because just the year before, in 1995, we were having 8.4 people die per 100,000. This was it's a lot larger than the death rate is now. Future policy would be the National Water Sector Policy. This is hopefully going to be implemented by 2030 to where all citizens would be able to have clean, potable water. The impact of climate. So, our climate change and climate mainly affects how water comes down, so the precipitation. In areas where there's a large amount of evaporation, we're seeing the water in the air, so an increased humidity, instead of on the ground where we need it to be. And then in areas like the southwestern portion, we're seeing a large amount of drought. The impact of climate in Jamaica. Jamaica is a tropical region, so it has 2 seasons, dry and wet. The dry season sees severely low rainfall, which causes devastating droughts. Human activities that affect the water supply in the United States. We have urban development, industrial development, farming, mining, fossil fuels, and alternating our stream channels. In Jamaica, there's a large pollution problem, which is both personal, like plastic bottles and bags, and industrial, which would be chemicals entering these water streams. One incident in Rio Cobre caused the river to be shut down for several days. Fresh water sources in the United States are mainly surface water, with more of the groundwater being for personal use. The Great Lakes are our largest source of fresh water in the United States. In Jamaica, we see rivers and aquifers being used. Aquifers mainly in the drier regions. These aquifers, 50% of them are limestone, and from the aquifers, it's pumped into a well or they divert it into other streams. In summary, water is vital for all life, and water is not available for millions of people in the United States and in Jamaica. If unsafe water is being used, it will cause disease and death will follow. In the Navajo Nation in New Mexico, one proposal would be to install a pipe from Albuquerque so that way they would have access to fresh water. And in Jamaica, it would be for more education so that way these farmers could understand the importance of safe farming practices. In both areas, there's region to improve on water policy, like in Jamaica, making sure that there is potable water by 2030. The climate of Jamaica is wet and dry, so it does see droughts. In the United States is a large region home to many climates, so there's different issues in different regions. Human activities do limit the safe water supply. The USA mainly uses surface water besides groundwater being used for personal use, and Jamaica uses both for public use, their rivers, or in drier regions using aquifers. These are my works cited, and that was my water crisis project.